Millionaire asked his son to choose a mother among the models, but he chose the black maid. The chandelier sparkled above them like a crown of ice. The grand hall of the Graves estate, lined with gold trim and polished marble, was silent. Too silent. Everyone was waiting. At the center stood Richard Graves, a powerful white millionaire in his early 50s, dressed immaculately in a royal blue suit, arms clasped behind his back. His expression was stern, lips pressed thin, eyes locked on his 6-year-old son Oliver, a small blonde-haired boy in a miniature tuxedo, his tiny fists clenched. To Richard's left and right stood 2 women, both white, both breathtaking. One had sleek platinum hair and wore a satin red gown. The other had soft curls, sharp cheekbones, and was draped in crimson silk. They stood like models on display, poised, hand-selected. Richard's voice was firm but even. "It's time, Oliver. Your nanny is leaving next week. You need a mother. One of these lovely ladies will be your stepmom." Oliver didn't move. "Choose," Richard said. "You're old enough." Slowly, Oliver turned his head. Behind the 2 women, just a few paces back, stood Grace, the black maid. She wore her usual crisp white apron over a black blouse, her hair neatly pinned, a cleaning cloth still in her hand. She wasn't supposed to be there. She had only come to wipe the mirror when she heard voices. Now she stood frozen, eyes wide, not daring to speak. Oliver looked at her, then at the 2 women, then back at his father. "I don't want either of them," he said softly. Richard frowned. "Excuse me?" Oliver stepped forward, past the red gowns and perfect smiles. "I want her," he said clearly, pointing straight at Grace. The models blinked. One scoffed. Richard's face went slack, as if he hadn't heard correctly. "What did you say?" "I want Grace to be my mom." The words landed like thunder. Grace's eyes widened in horror. "Oliver, sweetheart, no," she began. But he nodded, speaking louder now. "She tucks me in. She makes my favorite pancakes. She reads better than the teacher at school. And when I'm sick, she holds me until I stop crying." "She's the maid," one model snapped. "No," Oliver said. "She's my mom." The blonde model stepped forward. "Sweetheart, I'm sure she's nice, but she works here." "I don't care," Oliver replied. Oliver suddenly shouted, "She loves me. You don't even know my favorite color." The woman fell silent. Richard's jaw tightened. "Oliver, that's enough." "No, it's not." Oliver's voice rang through the hall. "You don't know either. You leave every morning before I wake up. You come home after I'm asleep. You don't even eat dinner with me." His voice cracked, small and sharp in the heavy silence. Grace lowered her eyes, her heart pounding. "I never asked for another mom," Oliver whispered. "But Grace, she stayed. Every single day, even when I was mean, even when I broke things, she never left." Tears shimmered in his eyes. The 2 models glanced toward Richard, but Richard's gaze had shifted to Grace, and for the first time, he truly saw her, not the uniform, not the servant, but the woman who had been there, quietly holding his son's world together while he buried himself in boardrooms and business. Grace took a trembling step back. "Mr. Graves, this isn't—" "I asked him to choose," Richard said hoarsely, almost to himself. Oliver turned and ran to Grace, wrapping his small arms tightly around her legs. She froze, then slowly knelt, pulling him into her arms and pressing his head to her shoulder. The hall stayed frozen. No one moved, not the models, not the staff hiding just beyond the doorway, not even Richard. Because in that moment, power, beauty, and wealth meant nothing. Love, quiet, steady, unshakable, spoke loudest of all. Grace held Oliver close, her eyes blinking fast, as if holding back tears that had been waiting years to fall. Her arms wrapped around him just as they always had when no one else was watching, only now everyone was. The two women in red exchanged awkward glances. Their once confident postures began to falter. I wasn't told this was some kind of performance, the blonde muttered, stepping back. The other scoffed under her breath, arms crossing over her chest. Richard Graves still hadn't moved. He stood there, shoulders rigid, lips parted slightly, staring at the scene before him. His son, the heir to the Graves fortune, was clinging to the maid as if she were oxygen, as if letting go meant he'd suffocate. Grace looked up. "Mr. Graves," she said carefully, still kneeling with Oliver in her arms, "I never intended for this. I would never overstep." "You didn't overstep," Richard interrupted, his voice low. She froze. "I did," he added. Oliver pulled back, tilting his head toward his father. "Are you mad?" Richard walked toward them slowly. "No, son. I'm ashamed." The words felt foreign on his tongue, but they were the truth. He crouched beside them, absently adjusting his jacket. "I asked you to choose a mother," he said gently, "but what I really meant was for you to choose someone who fits into my life, into my image, my world." Oliver blinked up at him. "But you," Richard continued, "chose someone who fits into your life, into your heart, and that's the only choice that ever mattered." Without a word, the two models stepped back and quietly left the hall. No one stopped them. No one even noticed. Grace loosened her hold, uncertain what would come next. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "You've already said it," Richard replied, glancing at Oliver. "By loving him when I didn't know how." He looked directly at his son. "I haven't been a good father, have I?" Oliver hesitated, then shook his head slightly. Richard nodded, a flicker of pain in his eyes. "I deserve that." He turned to Grace. "You've done more for my son than anyone else in his life, and you never once asked for recognition, credit, or compensation." She gave a faint smile. "That's not why I stayed." "Why did you?" His voice was soft. "Because he needed someone, and I know what it's like, not to have anyone." The words sank deep. Richard looked away for a long moment, then exhaled. "Then let me do this right." He rose to his feet and extended a hand. "Grace, will you stay? Not as a maid, not as staff, but as part of this family, as someone with a voice, a role, a title worthy of what you've already been." Her eyes widened. Oliver looked up at her, hope lighting his face. "You mean, as his mother?" she asked. "I mean, as his mother, if you'll have us," Richard said. "I know it's unconventional. I know it's sudden, but I trust what my son sees." Grace blinked, stunned. I don't even know what to say." "You don't have to decide today," Richard assured her. "But I wanted you to know, this house isn't a home without you." Tears welled in her eyes and slipped down her cheek. "I need time," she admitted. "Take all you need." Richard nodded. Oliver hugged her again and whispered, "Please say yes someday." She laughed softly through her tears and kissed his forehead. Later that evening, the house was quiet again, but it wasn't the same silence. This silence carried warmth, hope, change. Richard passed the open doorway of Oliver's room and stopped. Inside, Grace sat cross-legged on the floor, reading aloud from Oliver's favorite book. The boy lay tucked under his blanket, eyes heavy, his small hand curled tightly around hers. Richard stood there for a long moment, unnoticed, before quietly stepping away with a rare, genuine smile. And for the first time in years, he didn't feel like a man returning to a mansion. He felt like a father coming home. If you enjoyed this story, Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. Let us know in the comments where in the world you're watching from. We love hearing from you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.